Welcome back to Blog Hub Point. I'm your instructor, Junaid Wakas, and in this tutorial, we'll be diving into the CSS border property. In this video, you'll discover how to use the border property to style elements with ease. Using CSS borders helps make both the parent and child elements more visible. By applying borders, you can adjust the color, style, and width to enhance their appearance. This makes both the parent and child elements stand out more clearly, giving the design better definition and structure. In CSS, the border property has three main parts. The first part is border width, which defines how thick or thin the border should be. You can use values like thin, thick, medium, or even set it with specific units like pixels or ems. Next, we have border style, which controls the look of the border. It can be dotted, dashed, solid, double groove, inset, outset, hidden, or even none, depending on the effect you want. Finally, there's border color. This is where you choose the color for your border. You can use color names, or you can go with more specific values like RGB, RGBA, or HSL. Together, these three properties let you fully customize how borders look in your web designs. In VS Code Editor, you've already created a div element with internal CSS. The div has a gray background color with a height and width of 100 px and a margin of 10 px. You then apply the border property to that element. Additionally, you've created a style.css file where you write the border property to style the div. To begin, we create a class attribute. Inside this class, we add a CSS class selector named fullBorder. Next, move to the style.css file. In this file, we write the fullBorder class name, followed by double curly brackets. First, write the border property border style, followed by a colon, and set its value to solid. After this, when you view the element in the browser, you will notice the border appears on all sides of the element with a black color by default. For example, if we change the border style to double, the element will now show a double border on all sides. Then, reset the property back to solid. Next, we write the border width property. We may set a predefined or custom value. For example, we can use predefined values like thin, which shows a smaller width of the border in the browser. If we use thick, it will display a larger border width. Using medium will give an intermediate size of the border width. If the predefined values are not suitable, we can use custom values with unit measurements. For example, we can set the border width to 1 px, which will display a very thin border. You can then change it to 2 px to see the border become slightly thicker. Next, let's add the border color property. For example, if we set it to red, the border will appear in red on all sides of the element. When we use just the border property, it applies to all sides of the element by default. However, if we want to customize each side separately, we can use individual border properties for each side based on our needs. Let's understand this with an example. First, create a new div, and when you view it in the browser, you'll see a new gray box element. Next, add the class attribute inside the opening div tag and name it something like border left. After that, go to the style.css file and write the border left selector. Inside the curly brackets, you can add your styles. Now, let's set the border property only for the left side. Use border left style and set its value to double. When you check it in the browser, you'll see a border on the left side of the element, and by default, it will be black in color. Next, let's add border left width and set its value to 3 px. When you view it in the browser, you'll notice that only the width of the left border increases. Next, let's add the border left color property and set its value to white using the hex code FFFF. When you check it in the browser, you'll see the left side border in white color. Now we move on to applying the style on the right side of the element. First, create a new div and add a class attribute to it. Then, inside that div, use the class border right. After that, we go to our style.css file. Here, we add the border right class, followed by curly brackets. Now, copy all the CSS properties from the border left class and paste them inside the border right class. Select left from the right border class, press Ctrl D to select all, and replace it with right. Save it, and the border will appear on the right side. Next, change the border style from double to groove and replace the white color with black using the color name. After saving, you'll see both the border color and its shape change. Now let's do the same for the top border. First, write the div element, then add the class attribute with the class name border top. Next, go to your style.css file and create a CSS selector for .border top, then add curly brackets. Copy the CSS properties from the previous class selector and paste them inside the border top selector. Next, select right from the border property, press Ctrl D to select all, and replace it with top. Save it, and you'll see the border appear on the top side. Now, change the border style by removing groove and writing dotted to show the border in a dotted style. Finally, replace the black color with pink using RGB 255, 128, 128. After saving, the border color will turn pink. Now we same apply for border bottom. First, create a div and add a class to it. Inside the div, write the class name for the border bottom. Next, go to your style.css file. Write the selector for the border bottom class and open curly brackets. Then, copy the CSS properties from the border top class and paste them into the border bottom class. The only change you need to make is replacing top with bottom. Finally, check your browser, and you'll see the border is now applied to the bottom of the div. Let's use a different approach, where we apply borders only to the horizontal sides of an element. Start by creating a div and assign it the class border horizontal. Next, go to your style.css file and find or create the .border horizontal class. Inside this class, copy the CSS properties from the border left class and paste them into .border horizontal. Then do the same for the border right class. Copy its properties and paste them into border horizontal. Finally, change the left border color to black. And set groove value for border left style. Now, when you check the element in the browser, you'll see borders on both the left and right sides of the element. Let's try this example for adding vertical borders to an element. First, create a div and assign it the class border vertical. Then, go to your style.css file. Write the .border vertical class and open curly brackets. Next, copy the CSS properties from the border top and border bottom classes and paste them into the .border vertical class. Once that's done, when you check the element in the browser, you'll see the top and bottom borders applied to the div element. Let's make the CSS cleaner and neater by using the border shorthand property. First, remove the individual border properties from the full border class. Now, write just border and set the value to 1px solid red. This combines the border width, style, and color in one line. When you check the element in the browser, it will show the same border on all sides of the element with a red color, but now with a much cleaner and shorter CSS code using the border shorthand. Let's clean up the border left class by using the shorthand property. First, write border left and set its value to 5px FFFFEFF. This combines the border style, width, and color in one line. After this, remove the individual border properties for the left side. When you check the element in the browser, you'll see the same left border, but now it's applied using the shorthand notation. Let's simplify the border right class using shorthand properties. First, write border right and remove all the individual properties for the right border. Then use the shorthand syntax. Border right, groove 5x black. This combines the border style, width, and color into one line. When you check it in the browser, it will show the same right border, but now with the shorthand CSS properties applied. Let's apply the CSS shorthand for the border top class. First, write border top and set its value to .5px RGBA 255 128 128. This combines the border style, width, and color into one line. Next, remove all the individual border top properties. When you check it in the browser, it will show the same top border, but now with the shorthand CSS properties applied. Let's now simplify the border bottom property. First, write border bottom and remove all the individual border properties. Next, copy all the values from border top, the style, width, and color, because both top and bottom values are the same, and paste them into border bottom. When you check it in the browser, you'll see the same result, but now using the border bottom shorthand properties. Next, write border left and set its value to groove 5px black. After this, write border right and copy the border left value to set the right border value. Next, remove the border right and border left individual properties, and see on the browser, it will show the same with the border shorthand properties. Next, remove all the individual border top and border bottom properties. Then, copy the value from the border top property and paste it twice. After this, change the second property from top to bottom. See on the browser, it will show the same border with shorthand properties. Last, the border color property is used when we want different colors for each side. Apply this in our first full border CSS class and remove the red color. Then see on the browser, it will show the default. Next, write the border color property. For example, set the top value to red, and it will show the red color. Then, write blue, and see on the browser, it will show vertical red and horizontal blue values for the two sides. When you add green, it will show the top as red, left and right as blue, and bottom as green. When you write yellow, it will show the top as red, right as blue, bottom as green, and left as yellow. This is how CSS applies 4 values like margin and padding. This is a simple concept for border properties and how to apply them on HTML. Thanks for watching this video. If you liked the video, please like, comment, and share.